Welcome back to another Python tutorial. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at Python Turtles, which is a module in Python that allows you to draw different things on the screen using code. In today's video, we'll just be learning the basics, and then we'll be learning a lot more about Python Turtles in projects in upcoming videos. So to get started with Python Turtles, the first thing we're going to do is at the very top, we're going to write import turtle as t. And this last part that says as t is just a way to condense the word turtle into a single letter. The next thing we're going to do is say t.forward. And then inside the parentheses here, we're going to put a number. And this number will be the distance that the drawing object will move. Let's go ahead and start by putting the number 100. And let's run our code and see what happens. Okay, this is the result of our code. On the screen here, our drawing object has gone from the center of the screen to the right by 100 units. If you'd like a quick challenge at this point, go ahead and pause the video and see if you can have this drawing object go from the center of the screen all the way to the edge of this window. Okay, so the way we do that is going back to the code, and we would change this number and try out some different values. So let's start by trying 200. Running the code. I see that I'm getting closer, but I'm not there yet. Going back, let's try 300. Almost there. Let's try 350 on our next go around. Okay, I see 350 is not quite enough. So continuing, let's try 375. Almost there. Let's try 390. And I'm there. Okay, so that is the t.forward. So basically all it does is just moves the drawing object forward by a certain distance. Let's go back to t.forward of 100. And the next thing we're going to learn is how to move left and right. So if I wanted my drawing object to move to the left, I would say t.left. Inside the parentheses now will be the angle measure. So let's go ahead and have it turn to the left at a 90-degree angle. And let's go ahead and run our code. So now it moves forward and then rotates to the left by 90 degrees. Okay, so our next challenge is going to be making a square. So since I have one side of the square done, I would just need to copy and paste this code by the number of sides, which would be 4. So I'm going to copy this code and then paste it 4 times. So I have one side, 2, 3, 4, and I put 1 extra by accident. So let's go ahead and see how this works. So I'm going to run the code. And I see that I made a square. Okay, it's not good to repeat yourself in coding, so let's go ahead and see how we can condense this code a little bit. So I'm going to delete all but one of them. And a way that we can do the same thing but with less lines of code, we can use a for loop. So you would do this by saying for the letter I in range, and then inside of here is the number of times that you want the code to repeat. Since we're making a square that has 4 sides, we're going to put 4 in here. After that, we need to put a colon, and then whatever code we want to repeat, we have to make sure that we indent it. So I would highlight it and then press the tab key. So this is the same thing we wrote before, but just with fewer lines of code. So let's go ahead and run the program and make sure it does the same thing. And great, so it does the same thing, but with much less lines of code. Going back, let's go ahead and try a different shape. Let's try a triangle this time. So on this part right here, there's only 3 sides to a triangle, so I'm going to change this part to 3. The forward is fine. I need to come up with another angle measure that'll make a triangle. And you can either try this by testing it out. After you try it a few times, hopefully you came to the number 120. If I run this code, then I have a triangle. Going back to the code, let's go ahead and try to make a program that we can enter the number of sides that we want for our shape, and it'll automatically draw the shape. So instead of me having to sit here and try to figure out the angle measure for each different shape, we're going to write a program that does this for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this down a little bit. I'm going to make a variable called sides. This is going to be equal to however many sides I want my shape to have. So let's try it with 8 sides. I'm going to put this variable right here. And then for this part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 360 divided by sides. Okay, if we check this for our triangle, so putting it back to 3 for just a second. For this loop right here, it would say for I in range, and then sides is equal to 3, so that's what we had before. And then for t dot left, 360 divided by sides, it would be 360 divided by 3, which is 120, which is exactly what we had before. If I try it for the number 4, this would be 4 here. 360 divided by 4 is 90, so it seems like it's going to work just fine. So let's go ahead and make this 8 again, and hopefully we'll see a octagon when we run our code. Let's go ahead and try it out. And I have an octagon that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sides. Let's go ahead and try this out. So let's try it with 6 sides this time. And I see that I have a shape with 6 sides. Let's do something a little crazy. So let's change this to 100. Alright, I see that I am off the screen. The reason for that is I would have to change my 4 to a smaller number. So let's change this to 10. Run the code again. And I get a shape that's almost a circle. So the more sides I add to this sides variable right here, it'll get closer and closer to a circle. Okay, so that's enough for that for now. Let's go ahead and delete just this part up here. Actually, we'll leave it for now. So the next thing we're going to learn is how to make different colors for our program. To do that, it's going to be t.color. And then inside the parentheses, the name of the color has to be a string. So if I want my sides to be blue, then I would put my color blue inside of quotation marks. Just like that. If I run my program now, let me change this back. So I'm going to change this back to 100, and let's do a normal shape that only has 5 sides. Okay, running the program. Now I have a pentagon that is blue. Other things I can do, I can change the pen size. So I could say t.pen size. And the number I put in here will be the width of the pen. Let's change it to 5. This will make the lines a little bit thicker. Okay, I can go even thicker if I like, so instead of 5, let's do 10. Okay, and I see that my lines are a little bit thicker. Going back to my code now, some other things I can do. I can move the drawing object around the screen. So after I do that, let's have it go to a new position. So I can say t.goto. And then I can put in an X and a Y position. So let's have it go 200 for the X, so it'll go to the right. And then let's leave it at 0 for the Y value. So all I'm going to do, after I draw my shape, it'll move 200 to the right, and then let's have it draw the same shape again. Running the program to see what it does. Okay, it draws my first shape, moves 200 to the right, and draws a new shape. One thing that I noticed though, it draws an extra line as it's moving. If I don't want it to do that, what I can do is go back to the code. Above the go to, so before it starts moving, I'll say t.pin up. And just leave open parentheses. And then after it moves, I'll say t.pin down. Okay, so now after it moves, oops, I made a mistake. Let's go back to the code and see what I did. So I didn't include the parentheses, so let's put those on and try it one more time. Okay, so it moves to the new spot now, but it doesn't make that extra line at the bottom. Okay, before we wrap up with this video, let's go over a few more things. So I'm going to delete all of this stuff. You can fill in your shape by using t.begin underscore fill, and then just leave open parentheses. At the end of the shape, you can say t.end underscore fill, open parentheses, and it'll draw my shape and then fill it in with the color blue. Just like that. Okay, so there is a lot more of the Python turtles, and we'll be going over that as we do some interesting projects. So this is going to be the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for some more Python tutorials.